Hey guys, welcome back to Horton's Flower Farm. So today I want to talk to you about how to start a flower farm from scratch, which is exactly what my husband Jeff and I did about a year and a half ago.
2 years ago, I had a dream of opening a you-pick flower farm. Well, my dream has become my reality. There is so many butterflies. You see the yellow flowers? Which one do you like? Point and I'll cut it for you. Yeah, point at it. Which one? Which one? Okay, I'm gonna get that.
So I just want to tell you the whole process because it is a really great story, and if you're looking to do something like this, I hope that we inspire you, because this is not our full-time job. This is a side gig, which is, time consuming, but I'm really enjoying it. So let's just start from the beginning. We have full-time jobs. We have 3 children, identical twin boys who are 5 years old, and a 9-year-old daughter. And 2 years ago, I started watching YouTube about people flower farming, and I was growing my own flowers from seed inside. And I guess it kind of started there, where I was inspired, but actually not knowing I was going to start a flower farm. So how did this really start? So I was growing flowers, and one of the YouTube channels had a lisianthus, and I wanted to grow a lisianthus, or even just get a seedling of a lisianthus, and I could not find anybody around my area who sells a lisianthus.
So I stopped her. I said, I'm going to find you these lisianthus. She's like, what? Good luck. I said, I found this greenhouse about an hour from here, and I called him in the morning, but 12 hours later, and he picked up, said, yeah, come on down, I'll show you my lisianthus. So I said, hey, Claude, we're going in the car, we're getting out, and we're going, we're where we're now located. And we met this farmer who had lisianthus, and it was a wonderful first meeting.
Yeah, he sold wholesale landscape flowers. He has like 12 greenhouses, so everything he sold was for landscape, wholesale for nurseries. And I just started talking to him. We got friendly. I was asking him questions about, the things I was growing. And I said, I live in an area where we have very small properties, and I don't have enough flowers. I've been planting flowers in my mom's backyard, anywhere I could plant flowers to make bouquets. And he said, oh, you know what? I have 3 acres of land over here that I don't use, and if you ever want to grow more things, you could lease it from me. And I laughed originally. I said, no, how am I going to grow here? I'm an hour away from you. Like, how is that even possible? But then my husband said,
and so we're driving home, and I said, did you heard what you heard what he said, right? We have a big garden now. I'm like, this is going to be really fun. And then, we got to talking about it.
Yeah, originally we say, you know what, let's grow 1 row of flowers, like a 50-foot row, just something. We'll go out there, we'll harvest them. It'll be fun with the kids on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And mind you, this was like the end of May. So the things that I was going to plant out here were not going to be things that I started from seed. This was going to have to be all direct seeded things. So working fast like we do, because that's what we do. As soon as there's an idea, we go hardcore. And we're like, okay, so if we're going to do this, we're going to do this right. So actually, I found a person that I was following, and she does mentoring. So I did a call with her, a mentoring call for an hour. It was only $50, well worth the money. I'll link to her in the description here, so if you want to use her. We called her up, and she does a you-pick flower farm, which was kind of my idea to do a you-pick. It was going to be something we were going to do. I wanted to be a you-pick flower farm because she was so inspiring. I had watched her video, and I just thought, like, there's no you-pick flower farms in our area. That would be an awesome thing to do. And I thought, like, all right, once we talked to her, that one row turned into like, you know what, let's do 7 100-foot rows and let's make it a U-pick flower farm. So it went from like, let's not even grow anything there to let's do a row to let's do 7 rows, go with this, and like do it hardcore. So she gave us great information on everything, irrigation, fertilizing, everything that you would need that we're going to tell you about. So so the first thing we did was, what did we do first?
Well, the very first thing was ask the farmer for a favor.
True, it was overgrown grass. So the grass was like 3 feet high.
10-foot weeds in some places. So he has this great John Deere tractor, which is probably what, 50 grand. And he just offered to just mow it one shot for us.
And till the rows.
And when we drew the rows out, you did.
Because we have no farm equipment, mind you. We don't have tractors, so nothing. We had
a shovel and
absolutely
seeds,
nothing.
Else, you know?
So if you're going to do this and you don't have somebody, you can, which we've done, you can get a hand tiller to do this, which we've done this in the past. So you can rent. So first thing, you can rent a tiller from Home Depot for the day, and you could do it for $150 because when we were done end of season, which we'll get to, we had to till them ourselves. So he started us there. But so he tilled the 7 100-foot rows.
Which is great, so we're able to see the defining lines of the rows, which is a huge accomplishment.
And we're going to put pictures up as we're talking so you can see some of this. So yeah, as you can see in the pictures here, it was overgrown grass and it was, the rows were tilled. So the rows were tilled and we were ready. But before this, we soil tested because she said, make sure you soil test. So soil test is important. It'll tell you what you need if you're missing different things in the soil. So our soil test said we needed lime and we needed compost. Now, unfortunately, with the lime, you can't just put down lime and start planting the flowers. So we couldn't amend it with the lime. We'd have to do that in the fall. But the compost was going to help with the things that it needed, definitely. So that's something that we could do right away.
We had a truckload dumped on there.
A huge dump truck.
And ultimately spread it out. I had a little bit of help doing that.
Yeah, so we paid someone to do that. So there was a monetary investment of that. If you're going to put that on a big scale like that, we paid about $800 with
for the dirt and the spreading.
For the dirt and the spreading, it was $800 for 7 100-foot rows, about 4 feet wide, 3.5, 4 feet wide.
We calculated to see how much thickness or depth you want per row,
right.
And ultimately do some calculations.
So soil testing, getting the compost in. Once the compost was in, I wanted to start right away to direct seeding. So the flowers that I put had to be flowers that had a quick growing time. So it was zinnias, it was cosmos, it was amaranth, and it was sunflowers, and it was basil. Because they all had, I think, now the cosmos were a little bit longer. They did bloom in like mid-September, but what was I going to do here? I wanted them. It was the quickest thing I could do. So those were the seeds we put in. We direct seeded. We didn't use a seed or anything. We just shoveled the row to make the divots in. Everything was hand seeded in. Once it was hand seeded in, we laid the drip tape. So
that was an adventure. We got the water line to feed from the farmer. He was very kind again, and he allowed us to feed off of that. So we just put some polyline down, and we ran as per the advice of the consultant we worked with. All the drip tape, three line of tape per 4 foot wide row.
Now, if you don't want to do drip tape is the best option just for the flowers so they don't get mold. If you don't want to do that and you want to do overhead sprinklers, that's definitely an option if you don't want to do drip tape. So don't be discouraged if you have an area and can't do drip tape. So that's fine. So watering, drip tape was next.
It's a very important consideration for us. Again, we've mentioned this, but we're an hour or more away from our farm. 2-hour round trip. And we're doing this all during a day where the kids were in school or camp. So we had at most 2 to 3 hours of actual work.
Right.
3 days a week.
We were running back and forth like crazy people.
9 hours a week we were actually able to work the farm.
Yeah. So if you're closer to where your farm is, hey, you have an advantage over us.
Advantage you.
Advantage you.
Yeah.
So we put the drip tape down. It was on a timer, like we said.
Had to be.
And
it had to work because I'm not there for 4 days sometimes.
Yeah.
A timer better be working.
So fertilizer was also, we would put it into the drip tape system when we were there once a week. It would get fertilized, but not until the seedlings had 2 true leaves. So just make sure you know that. That was in, and then we needed deer fencing. So deer fencing can be expensive. I found an option that was less expensive, and also I didn't like the style of deer fencing because it's like 7 feet tall. It's usually like the black deer fencing, and we have beautiful views, which I'll put up and show, of like 180 of just like all farm openness, and I didn't want it to be like closed in. So I watched a YouTube video. YouTube is helpful. So, and he did a 3D deer fencing, which was a T-post. You put a T-post around the whole area, and you put line, like string, at 2 feet and 4 feet, and then an outer T-post, a smaller one, also at 2 feet. And what this does is the deer can't, it's like an optical illusion. They see it and they can't manage to jump over it, so they just leave. So I haven't had any deer problems, so it's working for me. So yeah, deer fence was important. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the things that we did.
And then the mowing started happening. It's to keep it neat. As things started growing, we started becoming more concerned with the aesthetics.
Right. So now we were on to the aesthetics. So there were like things that we need to do. I know one of the problems on the property hadn't been used in years, and there were trees, like little not little, they were actually, like stumps growing.
You were
tripping on them. It was dangerous. So you have to, if it's just you.
Like this thick.
Right.
They're like this high because the farmer mowed, but you got over them, but they were not nearly safe to walk over.
So if you're going to have people for you pick, we had to take them out. If it's not and you can deal with it, that's fine. But he rented a, what was it?
It's like a stump grinder. I put it on my trailer and I just towed it in, and it took like 6 hours.
Over 100 stumps.
Yeah, 100 stumps to grind down. I didn't do, I was not looking so good after that. And then I realized I thought that was it, but it turns out I made like 100 holes, giant holes.
Which were another problem.
And so I just then bought like 100 bags of dirt and just carrying them in, dumping them in, leveling it out. It turned out to be the biggest project of the farm. Like, it was unsafe. So if you pick farm, you can't have people jumping into these very sharp stumps. They're like jagged. So I had no choice but to fix it.
So once those were filled and fixed, we had to remove a tree to the front of the driveway so people could drive up. There was literally a giant tree in the driveway, so we had to pay for tree removal. That was like $350. Mm-hmm. But now we had an entrance, but we needed a gate. So we got a gate.
Yep, I installed a gate.
We learned this is all us because, again, we're trying to save money here, do it ourselves, and we needed it quick. Like, we were calling these people and they're like, yeah, we can come in like 2 or 3 weeks, and we were like, no, we need it like today, because otherwise, like everything just needs to be done quick.
It was all accelerated. I have a good friend who's rather handy, and he taught me all the skills. I'm in technology. I'm a programmer by trade, so I don't touch fencing and posts and gates, but I had to, and YouTube, and he helped give us the foundation to build everything for the farm. So he's since moved away, but we've since carried along and installed everything ourselves.
So thank you, Imran.
Yeah, Imran.
So yeah, he helped us put up. I wanted a white picket fence, so I had this little dream. I want a white picket fence in front when people come in, and it does look awesome. So yeah, we put in the fence. Yeah. We put up a little sign there, ordered a sign that said our name.
It's such an achievement to put up a sign. I tell you, I know maybe you're handy, your husband's are handy. But we just weren't. So putting up a post with a sign hanging out on the side. We were
very proud of it.
To me, that was like, it was greater than any compliment I've ever done in my career. Because like, it's so different, for us and for me to have done that. So for me, it was kind of magic. That was a magical thing to install anything. I used to outsource everything in the house, right? So the front grass had an 8-inch patch of dead grass before the farm. So
it became very handy, yeah.
And we tried to outsource that. And long story short, we're now carrying the 5 acres of grass, so it's kind of ironic.
So the other things that you need for a You-Pick flower farm are insurance. Insurance was very important, and for us it was hard to find because it wasn't a traditional flower farm. We were going to have people come on the farm for You-Pick. So you need insurance. That's very important. Do you want to say anything else about that? Or?
It was pretty, only 1 or 2 carriers which we can link to the type of insurance it is.
Right.
It carried this. It's very specific, and since we had a playground on the property, which we also installed for the kids, there was a little bit more red tape with that, but we got the insurance, it was covered, and I called maybe 5 or 6 insurance carriers, and not a lot of them did a farming type insurance, where they're basically, kids are cutting with scissors, so it's like a thing, so that had to be considered, and we found one. I will link to the type of insurance it is, and who we went with, so you can kind of call them, and they will cover your area as well.
Yeah, so once we were insured, we were almost ready to go. My husband luckily builds websites and does marketing, so you need a nice website and you need nice pictures, and reviews are important. So I had a lot of friends and family there. I'm skipping ahead, but yeah, get a website. And the next thing I needed was, so now we're into like August and we're like ready to open, the flowers almost coming up. Buckets I needed for people to put their flowers in. Actually, Dollar Tree had some great ones that I use. Scissors. Well, okay, actually, what we needed was, we were going to be out there on the weekends, and we were an hour away and we needed a place to stay. So now this is not something that you need to buy, but it was something that we needed to buy, and something that we really love now and really happy. It was a great investment. We bought an RV. So we bought an RV. It's the bunk beds for the kids, because we stayed out there on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and the kids needed, to go in the RV, food and everything. So it turned out to be this amazing adventure for us, because now we were out there camping on a farm, which I never a year ago or a couple months ago would think I'd be having an RV, camping on a farm, being a farmer, doing all these things. So life changed in this beautiful way.
Surprised us, isn't it?
Yeah, so these great surprises. So we had the RV, and we still have the RV, and the RV is amazing.
To stay out there in that area was very expensive, like $700 a night. So it's just impossible to keep driving back and forth with kids, and basically we were making this all work on about 6 or 7 hours of actual labor, and then the rest was driving labor, right? And I thought of a bunch of times when we got stuck or something happened, we were late, our parents were on call all the time because we just went a little too far, half an hour too far. The kids were at a camp and they were stuck. So we really had to maximize every minute until the RV happened, and in which case we had a little breathing room, because the 3 days there a week was more than enough for us, having worked with 9 hours.
Yeah. So I just want to talk about this space, what I did to the space and make it look cute for people to sit. I put in a lot of time thinking of how to make it cute with different chairs and umbrellas and different vintage things. So there was like a seating area so people can enjoy. So that took a lot of effort of picking up different things in our pickup truck and dropping them off. It was a lot of just planning, and wanted to make the aesthetic beautiful. We also put in a outdoor sink per what our mentor told us. You need a sink out there for people to fill up the water. So we got that from, I believe it was Lowe's, maybe $150, $200, and that's great. The outdoor sink, they can wash their hands, they can fill up the buckets. So the outdoor sink was very important. So so the outdoor sink.
I think one of the big accomplishments as a handyman was hooking up the outdoor sink, because I was able to convert it into a hose hooked up to it. And again, what excitement that was. I've never done that before. So I just, from this perspective, from the little, it was just magic to do something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
So now we're all set up, ready to go, and then you need the people for a farm. So yeah, there was website involved, some marketing involved in that. And actually the first year I didn't really market a lot. I just wanted to make sure that it worked, because I didn't know if the flowers were actually going to bloom, and they did, and it was beautiful. They started later. I gotta say, they started maybe the beginning of September. The flowers started to bloom, so I had a shorter season, but I didn't care. Going from having just a couple flowers in my backyard to 7 100-foot rows of flowers. Our friends thought it was absolutely beautiful. So we invited friends out there all summer. Some people came that we didn't know, but yeah, then they wrote reviews on Google and took all these beautiful pictures. And yeah, the journey started from there. And so those are the things you really need for a flower farm. It doesn't sound like it's a lot of things, but the time invested into it is a lot, but you can do it. You don't have to do it like we did it and go crazy and do it like that.
Overnight,
but if you have a dream, you definitely should go for it. This is now our second season, but really our first year, because it's only been a year and a couple months. And we've had a lot of people this year. I'll talk in another video about the marketing I did and how we grew it this year to actually make money. So yeah, we're flower farmers, and it was a journey that I can't wait to see what's next, basically. But I just want to let guys know that you can definitely do it. Flower farming is fun. If it's your passion, it's hard work, but you know, if it's your passion, you love it. Look what you get, beautiful bouquets of flowers in every single room of my house now. So yeah, guys, anything else?
That was her original dream, by the way.
My original dream, I used to say to him, actually, this is funny, I should say, because he's a computer guy, I said, can you work for a florist so that you can give me flowers so I can put in every single room of my house? So I guess I've had this dream. I used to say that like 10 years ago with the flowers. And so now I do have the flowers in every single room of my house, and I'm loving it.
I think it's important to say too, like the adventure of this whole thing. Those who are watching might be your passion for flowers, and it certainly is hers. But from the perspective of the other person involved, there's actually magic in it, even if it's not your passion. So whoever's going to help you, or if you do it yourself, there's all this adventure that comes with it, like these little windy roads and new ideas and people you meet. We're meeting new farmers every day. We're meeting customers who are just the most wonderful people. They're also friendly. Even people who look outwardly like they might not be are the sweetest people you ever met. And they come and they're like disarmed by the flowers and the farm. They melt there. Mm-hmm. And there's something real magic about that particular piece of property, and it drew us in. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it drew us in bottom up.
And they would say like, wow, you guys have done this. Like, this is amazing that, you know, you took something like